My beloved, when God chooses someone, it is never by accident. When God calls a person into a moment of divine awareness, it is because heaven has opened a specific door for that life. If you are hearing this message today, it means the Spirit of the Lord has singled you out for something that many around you may never recognize. Congratulations. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. You are chosen. There are moments in our lives when God whispers gently, and there are moments when He speaks with urgency. What I am about to share with you is not to bring fear, but to awaken your spirit. Before 24 October, something spiritual is shifting. Heaven is positioning people according to divine assignments. God is preparing hearts. He is revealing hidden things. He is removing what was blocking your growth. And He is calling you into a deeper fellowship with Him. When God chooses a person, it is never the result of random circumstance or simple coincidence. Divine selection is intentional, purposeful, and deeply rooted in the plans God has prepared long before you even understood your calling. Being chosen means heaven has taken notice of you in ways that you yourself may not fully comprehend. Many people pass through life without recognizing the moments when God tries to get their attention. But when you are chosen, the voice of God finds you even in the noise of your surroundings. It reaches you in your weakness, in your confusion, in your ordinary routines, because God sees something in you that qualifies you for a higher assignment. You may feel unprepared, unworthy, or unnoticed by people, but heaven has seen your struggles, your endurance, your hidden battles, and your quiet faithfulness in moments when no one was watching. God does not choose based on popularity, background, qualification, or perfection. He chooses based on purpose, destiny, and the molding of your spirit through the seasons you have walked through. To be chosen by God means He has allowed you to experience things that shaped your spiritual sensitivity. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every delay, and every loss has played a part in training your heart to understand His voice more clearly. There were times you questioned why certain doors closed, why certain people walked away, or why certain prayers remained unanswered. But being chosen means you were being protected, redirected, and prepared for what your future will require. You were never overlooked, you were being positioned. You were never abandoned, you were being guided toward a divine moment that others around you may never receive. When God chooses you, He separates you from environments, habits, and relationships that would limit your spiritual growth. This separation can feel lonely at times, but it is a sign of divine investment in your life. God does not allow everyone to walk with you into the next season, because not everyone is equipped to understand the weight of the calling placed upon your life. Being chosen means you carry something valuable in your spirit, and God protects what carries value. That is why certain relationships were removed, why certain opportunities fell away, and why certain paths were blocked. God was safeguarding the future He designed specifically for you. To be chosen also means that heaven has entrusted you with sensitivity to divine warnings, supernatural guidance, and spiritual shifts. God communicates with chosen people in ways that awaken them, redirect them, and prepare them. He gives you insights others might miss. He stirs your heart in moments where others feel nothing. He nudges your spirit when a new season is about to unfold. You may not have understood why you felt certain things before they happened, but that sensitivity is part of your calling. Chosen people feel spiritual changes before they see physical results, because God positions their spirit ahead of their circumstances. When God chooses you, He also places favor over your life that cannot be explained by human logic. You will notice moments when things work out for you unexpectedly, when help arrives at the exact moment you need it, when solutions appear out of nowhere, and when peace surrounds you in situations where others would be shaken. This is not luck or mercy by chance. It is the evidence of divine selection at work within your story. A divine shift does not happen quietly. It happens in the unseen realm long before it becomes visible in your circumstances. When heaven prepares a transition, the spiritual atmosphere around your life begins to change, and your spirit can feel what your eyes cannot yet see. Before 24 October, such a shift is unfolding, and those who are spiritually alert will sense it in their emotions, their thoughts, and their inner awareness. This shift is not meant to alarm you but to awaken you, because God is rearranging situations that have been stagnant and breaking patterns that have held you back for far too long. The timing is not random. God allows seasons of preparation, and then He marks moments of movement, and this particular moment is a transition ordained for those who have been waiting, praying, and enduring silently. Whenever God prepares a divine shift, He begins by unsettling what has been comfortable. You may notice that certain things that once satisfied you no longer bring peace. People who were once close may begin to drift away. Priorities that once seemed stable may suddenly feel unstable, because God is loosening your attachment to what can no longer carry you into the next season. This internal restlessness is not confusion, it is spiritual repositioning. You are being guided out of old cycles and into new territory. God often shifts things in the spiritual realm first so that you can grow the strength, clarity, and sensitivity to handle what is coming next. This divine shift also brings clarity to areas where you once felt uncertain. Thoughts that were tangled begin to make sense. Ideas you ignored suddenly come alive again. Decisions that seem difficult now become clear because God is illuminating your path step by step. You might feel drawn to pray more, to reflect more, or to distance yourself from noise. And this is because your spirit is aligning with the changes taking place around you. God prepares the hearts of those He chooses, and He is preparing you by giving you unusual sensitivity to His timing. Another sign of this shift is disruption. Not all disruption is negative. Some disruption is divine. When God moves, He often rearranges relationships, opportunities, and resources. Something you depended on may change unexpectedly. A door you thought was secure may close. A plan you trusted may fall apart. Instead of resisting this, you must understand that God is removing what cannot travel with you into the next chapter. He is clearing the path. He is uprooting what was hindering you. He is pulling you away from distractions that were too familiar and too comfortable for your spiritual growth. Before 24 October, the shift becomes more noticeable. You may feel unusual peace without explanation or unusual discomfort without understanding why. You may experience sudden breakthroughs or sudden redirections. Both are part of God's design. He shifts the atmosphere before He shifts your circumstances so that your heart is prepared to receive what He has already spoken over your life. This is not a moment to fear, but a moment to recognize heaven's involvement in your journey. God initiates these shifts to position you for the blessings, instructions, and opportunities that align with your divine purpose. When God calls you back into deep prayer and alignment, it is because something significant is approaching in your spiritual journey. Prayer is not just a habit or a routine. It is the lifeline that keeps your spirit connected to the heart of God. When heaven is preparing to release direction, protection, or breakthrough, the first thing God does is draw you closer to Him in prayer. You may feel an inner pull, a quiet stirring, or a longing to separate yourself from noise and distractions. This is the Spirit urging you to return to the place where clarity flows, where peace is restored, and where divine wisdom is revealed. Alignment with God is not merely about religious practice. It is about positioning your heart to hear what others cannot hear and see what others cannot see. There are moments when life becomes too loud and the demands around you drown out the small voice within. It becomes easy to drift, to become spiritually dry, or to depend more on your own strength than on God's guidance. But when God calls you back to prayer, He is not correcting you. He is protecting you. He knows the battles you cannot see, the decisions that lie ahead, and the shifts that are about to take place. Prayer is the shield that guards your mind from confusion and the key that unlocks the doors waiting for you in the coming season. When God invites you into deeper alignment, He is preparing your heart to handle blessings that require spiritual maturity. As you return to prayer, you will notice that the burdens you carry begin to lose their weight. Prayer transforms your inner world before it transforms your outer world. Worries that once consumed you begin to shrink. Fears that once controlled you begin to fade. The peace that surpasses understanding begins to settle in the places where anxiety once lived. This is how God strengthens you internally so that external challenges cannot shake you. Alignment means your spirit is centered, your mind is steady, and your heart is rooted in faith rather than uncertainty. Deep prayer also reveals areas of your life that need surrender. Not everything you hold on to is meant to stay, and not every desire aligns with God's timing. In prayer, God shows you what to release, what to pursue, and what to protect. He highlights relationships that no longer contribute to your growth, habits that drain your strength, and thoughts that limit your potential. Alignment requires honesty before God because He shapes you through surrender. He molds your attitude, your character, and your perspective so that your spirit becomes prepared for what He is about to entrust to you. As you continue in prayer, clarity begins to form where confusion once existed. You will sense direction where before you felt lost. Ideas, decisions, and pathways become clear because prayer removes the fog that once blurred your vision. Alignment with God sharpens your discernment. allowing you to recognize divine opportunities and avoid spiritual traps. Your steps become guided, your choices become wiser. Your heart becomes more sensitive to subtle instructions that carry great impact over your future. God calling you back to prayer is a sign that He is about to move. It is a sign that something in your life is shifting, that a new chapter is forming, and that your spirit must be ready to receive what He has already prepared for you. When God begins removing spiritual distractions and delays from your life, it is because He is clearing the path for something greater that has been waiting to manifest. Many times, breakthroughs are not blocked by lack of opportunity, but by the clutter that surrounds your mind, your relationships, and your priorities. Distractions come in subtle forms. People who drain your energy, habits that weaken your focus, thoughts that pull you away from peace, and environments that cloud your spiritual clarity. You may not always recognize them immediately, but God does. He sees the unseen obstacles that slow your progress and the hidden influences that quietly delay what He intends to deliver into your life. When God steps in to remove these distractions, it may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is always an act of divine love and protection. There are seasons when everything around you feels chaotic, and you cannot understand why certain situations suddenly shift. People may distance themselves, plans may fall apart, and doors you expected to open may remain closed. But these events are not random. When God begins a cleansing process, He loosens the grip of anything that competes for your attention or steals your spiritual strength. Distractions do not always look harmful. Sometimes they appear helpful, familiar, or even comforting. Yet if they pull you away from alignment, from your purpose, and from your calling, God will gently or forcefully remove them. He allows discomfort so that you can grow. He allows loss so that you can gain clarity. He allows separation so that you can hear Him without interference. Spiritual delays also come from internal battles you carry. Fear, doubt, unresolved pain, and past wounds can create invisible blockages that slow the path to breakthrough. When God removes delays, He often begins by addressing the condition of your heart. He highlights thoughts that limit you, beliefs that restrict you, and memories that hold you captive. He brings these things to the surface not to overwhelm you, but to free you. Healing takes place when what was hidden is finally confronted. Once the heart is healed, the delays begin to lift. What once felt stuck suddenly begins to flow. What once felt heavy becomes lighter. This inner shift prepares you for the blessings that require emotional and spiritual maturity. There are moments when God accelerates what was once delayed, and you begin to experience progress that feels sudden. But acceleration is never sudden to God. It is the result of everything He cleared away beforehand. The relationships that left, the habits you outgrew, the plans that changed, and the silence you endured were all part of the preparation. Distractions create confusion, but God restores order. Delays create frustration, but God restores movement. What seemed like setbacks were actually divine setups designed to protect you from receiving something before you were ready or before the timing was right. As God removes distractions and delays, your spirit becomes sharper, your mind becomes clearer, and your faith grows stronger. You begin to notice things you once ignored. You begin to choose wisely where you once settled. You begin to value peace more than comfort and purpose more than approval. This transformation positions you for the opportunities that were waiting for your readiness. God clears what cannot stay so He can make room for what He has destined to come into your life. When God begins to expose the lies that were spoken over you and restore your identity, it is because He cannot allow you to step into the next season carrying false beliefs about yourself. Many people live under labels that were never assigned by God. Words spoken in anger, opinions formed by others' insecurities, judgments rooted in misunderstanding, and criticism that planted seeds of doubt in your heart. These lies may have been repeated so many times that they began to feel like truth, shaping how you think, how you see yourself, and how you make decisions. But when God chooses to elevate you, He dismantles every false voice that tried to define you. He confronts the shadows that tried to distort your confidence and the wounds that quietly influenced your identity. God reveals truth not to shame you but to free you, because a misinformed identity cannot carry a God-ordained destiny. There were moments in your life when words pierced deeper than actions. Someone's rejection made you question your worth. Someone's betrayal made you doubt your value. Someone's silence made you wonder if you mattered. These experiences didn't just hurt your heart, they affected your self-image. They caused you to shrink when you should have stood firm, to hesitate when you should have moved forward, and to hold back when you should have stepped boldly into your calling. God allows these hidden areas to surface because He wants to uproot every lie that has silently shaped your path. What you call insecurity, He calls an unhealed memory. What you call weakness, He calls a place where truth needs to enter. As God exposes these lies, He begins to replace them with identity rooted in His voice. He reminds you that you are chosen, not overlooked. He reminds you that you are loved, not abandoned. He reminds you that you are capable, not inadequate. He reminds you that you are forgiven, not condemned. These truths carry weight because they come from the One who created you with intention. When His truth begins to settle in your spirit, you start to walk differently. Your decisions become clearer. Your boundaries become stronger. Your confidence becomes rooted not in external approval, but in spiritual identity. Restoration of identity is not a single moment. It is a process shaped by revelation. God reveals strengths you forgot you had, passions you buried, dreams you suppressed, and potential you doubted. He brings back to life the parts of you that were silenced by fear or broken by disappointment. This restoration brings clarity to your purpose because you begin to understand yourself the way God sees you, not the way life shaped you. Your past no longer defines you. It simply explains your journey. Your future no longer intimidates you. It becomes a space where God's words guide you instead of human opinions. As your identity is restored, you begin to recognize the lies that once held power over you. You no longer accept relationships that diminish your worth. You no longer participate in conversations that reinforce negativity. You no longer allow fear-driven thoughts to dictate your choices. God redefines you from within so that no external voice can undo what He has spoken. This transformation prepares you for the path ahead because only a healed identity can carry the weight of a God-given destiny. A breakthrough is never random, and it is never accidental. It is the result of spiritual preparation that takes place long before anything changes in your physical circumstances. When God declares that a breakthrough is near, He also calls you to readiness because what is coming requires a stronger, clearer, and more anchored version of you. Often, people pray for breakthrough but feel frustrated when it does not arrive immediately, not realizing that spiritual maturity must first take root. God prepares your heart, shapes your mindset, and strengthens your character so that when the breakthrough arrives, you can sustain it, protect it, and grow from it. This season of readiness may feel uncomfortable because preparation always requires stretching, pruning, and refining in ways that challenge your comfort and reshape your expectations. A breakthrough begins internally before it ever manifests externally. You may notice a shift in your thoughts, an urge to let go of old patterns, or a growing dissatisfaction with things that once felt normal. This internal tension is not a sign of failure. It is evidence that God is transforming you from the inside out. The habits that once felt acceptable begin to feel heavy. The relationships that once fit your life no longer align with your purpose. The environments you once tolerated begin to drain your spirit. These changes signal that God is preparing you to rise into a season that requires clarity, strength, and spiritual discipline. Breakthrough does not come to those who remain in old cycles. It comes to those who allow God to reshape them for what lies ahead. During this season, you may also experience resistance. Resistance is not an indication that your breakthrough is far. It is often a sign that it is close. The enemy always attacks hardest when you are near a turning point. Suddenly, discouragement, confusion, or unexpected challenges may rise up, but these pressures are meant to test your endurance and refine your faith. They force you to seek God more deeply, listen more intentionally, and rely not on your own strength but on His guidance. Breakthrough requires faith that persists in silence, trust that remains firm in uncertainty, and commitment that continues even when results are not visible. You may also sense God pulling you into deeper reflection and prayer. This is because He wants to reveal instructions, warnings, or insights that will guide you after the breakthrough arrives. Without direction, blessings can become burdens. Without discernment, opportunities can become traps. Without spiritual readiness, elevation can become overwhelming. God prepares you so that your spirit becomes sensitive enough to hear His guidance in the moments where quick decisions will shape your future. This preparation is not punishment, it is protection and empowerment. As the breakthrough approaches, God also aligns the right people, resources, and opportunities around you, often without your awareness. He orchestrates connections, opens doors behind the scenes, and places you in environments that match your next level. What feels like coincidence is often divine strategy. What feels delayed is actually developing. What feels silent is actually shifting. God ensures that everything connected to your breakthrough is positioned perfectly before the moment arrives. Readiness is the foundation that allows you to carry what God is about to release. When your heart is prepared, your vision expands. When your spirit is strengthened, your steps become bold. When your faith is steady, your breakthrough becomes a doorway to even greater growth and purpose. When God closes certain doors in your life, it is not a punishment, nor is it a sign of failure. It is often His way of protecting you from paths that would have harmed you, delayed you, or distracted you from your true purpose. Closed doors can feel disappointing in the moment, especially when you invested your hopes, your time, or your emotions into something you believed was right for you. But what you saw as a setback was seen by God as a shield. He knows the intentions you cannot see, the future you cannot predict, and the consequences you are unaware of. Sometimes the greatest blessings come disguised as closed opportunities, because God refuses to let you walk into situations that were not designed to prosper your spirit or align with your destiny. It is natural to question why certain relationships ended, why certain jobs didn't work out, why certain plans unraveled, or why certain people walked away. But when you look deeper, you begin to understand that some connections would have drained you emotionally, some environments would have limited your growth, and some plans would have pulled you away from the direction God was preparing for you. When God closes a door, He is not rejecting you. He is rescuing you from something you may not even realize. There were tears you never had to cry, battles you never had to fight, and losses you never had to endure simply because God intervened through a closed door. Closed doors also create space for redirection. When you cling too tightly to plans that were never meant to last, your vision becomes limited. You begin to settle for what is familiar instead of reaching for what is divine. God closes doors to shift your focus, to awaken your spirit, and to stretch your faith. He removes access to what you thought you needed so He can lead you toward what you truly need. What feels like denial is often an invitation to trust Him more deeply. When you cannot see the way forward, you begin to rely on His guidance rather than your own expectations. This dependence strengthens your spiritual sensitivity and deepens your relationship with Him. At the same time, when God closes doors, He is preparing to open new ones, but He will never open the next until you let go of the previous. This is because old doors carry old habits, old mindsets, and old versions of you that cannot enter the new season He is forming. Closed doors refine you. They push you to grow, to reflect, and to release what no longer serves your purpose. They make you stronger, wiser, and more aware of God's timing. What once felt like rejection becomes the very thing that prepares you to receive something better, something aligned, something lasting. And while closed doors protect you, the open doors that follow reveal God's favor. These open doors come with peace instead of anxiety, clarity instead of confusion, and alignment instead of struggle. They remind you that God's plan is always greater than your expectations. When the right door opens, it will require no forcing, no begging, and no compromising. It will flow naturally because it was prepared for you long before you knew it existed. When God begins to give you unusual clarity and divine instructions in a specific season, it is a sign that something in your life is about to shift in a meaningful way. Clarity from God is not like ordinary understanding. It is a deep awareness, a sudden knowing, a spiritual insight that arrives without confusion. It may come through a thought you cannot ignore, a sense of direction that repeats itself, or a peace that settles over a decision you were unsure about. This clarity is God preparing your steps so that you do not walk blindly into your future. It is His way of ensuring that you recognize the opportunities He sends, the warnings He reveals, and the doors He is about to open. When clarity increases, it means the next chapter is already forming, and heaven is positioning you to walk into it with discernment rather than doubt. Divine instructions often arrive in subtle ways. They may come through moments of silence where your spirit becomes more sensitive to God's voice because the noise around you begins to fade. They may come through repeated thoughts, patterns, or promptings that remind you to take a certain step, leave a certain environment, or change a certain habit. These instructions are gentle yet firm, guiding you toward decisions that protect you, strengthen you, and align you with God's timing. You may find yourself feeling drawn to pray more, to reflect more deeply, or to distance yourself from people or places that once felt comfortable. These shifts are not random. They are signals that God is directing you towards something that requires obedience and spiritual readiness. Sometimes clarity comes in the form of discomfort. You begin to feel unsettled in situations that once felt normal. You may lose interest in things you previously enjoyed or feel drained by environments that once energized you. This discomfort is often a divine signal that your spirit is outgrowing a chapter that is no longer part of your destiny. When God is preparing to move you, He often removes the ease from where you are so that you do not cling to what cannot go with you. The discomfort pushes you to pay attention, to reflect, and to seek His direction with a sincere heart. You may also notice clarity in the conversations you have, the signs you encounter, and the timing of events around you. God speaks through patterns, alignments, and divine connections. Certain people may come into your life with words that confirm what God has already placed in your heart. Certain opportunities may appear unexpectedly, making you realize that the timing is too precise to be accidental. Certain doors may open smoothly while others close abruptly, redirecting you without explanation. These movements are part of the divine blueprint, guiding you toward what has been prepared for you. As clarity increases, your confidence grows. Decisions that once felt heavy become easier. Choices that once produced anxiety now bring peace. You begin to trust the guidance you feel because it aligns with God's character and His promises. Divine clarity removes confusion so that you can walk forward with steady faith. When God gives instructions, He is not trying to control you. He is trying to protect your purpose, accelerate your growth, and ensure that you step into the future He has already designed for you.